So if you look through the portfolios of some really good photographers, I think you'll notice one thing that sort of stands out, and that there's never a single blown highlight in any of their images. Of course there are exceptions, but I think you'll agree with me that a lot of photographers just sort of have this in their mind that they can't blow out a highlight, it seems. So what does that say about the photographer? What do you think? What does that say that there's not a single blown highlight in their entire portfolio? To me, it sort of says that they never ever thought that a photograph looked better with a blown highlight or a blown window. And to me, I don't believe that. In short, I think photographers tend to be too concerned about being perceived as having a lack of control. In other words, they're too kind of influenced by what others may think of their photos and the fact that others may think they weren't in total control of their photos. And I think this is a real fallacy for you to follow. So this blog is going to be about putting yourself out there a little bit more, letting your creative freedom just reign free a little bit more, and also just, you know, being less technical when you're on site, I think is a really, really good place to be. Just simply don't be afraid to take a look at images when they're blown highlights, and sometimes that's going to look really good to your eye, at least in my opinion. Sometimes blown highlights and blown windows looks really good. When that's the case, just feel free to deliver that. That's the point of this blog. Just feel free to let your eye do all the judgments and let your creative freedom reign instead of being so technical all the time. So I don't believe our job is just to be total robots, just technical robots, and just indiscriminately just pull in every window. I don't believe that's our job description. Our job is to kind of get the viewer of our photographs emotionally stirred, right? And to do this, we really have to be thinking less technical and kind of more emotionally. And when I say that, when you look at your photos on site and you kind of see that blown window, maybe that evokes a certain response from you. And I'm just saying, let yourself go with that. Create a good photo around that. Because our job is really to give these potential buyers, these home buyers, a really positive and kind of airy feeling of the space we're photographing. I feel like you can think of this like dating, right? If you go out on a date with somebody, you're not so much being robotic and technical, right? The best way to approach things is just to kind of be yourself and let yourself go, just to go with things. Because I believe when interiors work is really at its best, it's much less technical than most people believe, and it's really a lot more about emotion. So sure, we can all admire that great control that photographers have, and you know, we do admire that. But really what matters is what the potential buyer, the potential viewer of your photographs is going to be wooed by. So for me, one of the places I really let myself go, I give myself permission, and it kind of gets me in that headspace I want to be in, is my details. I grab my camera, I've got it in my hands, I'm not restricted by my damn tripod anymore or anything like that. It's a much more freeing feeling. I turn out all the lights, I blow the highlights, and it's just a really good feeling and a creative process for me. So another thing I'll note that tends to tie into this subject is I think you'll notice if you look closely that a lot of the interiors work that I'll call good nowadays is really starting to look the same. Even the kind of critiques are kind of trying to push the work that's not looking a certain way into that same type look. And we want to kind of go beyond that. We don't want to be producing the same thing every time, okay? So in short, just deliver what you feel is the most emotion-stirring imagery you possibly can. And I think it's going to serve you well to just keep that in the back of your mind.
Close your eyes, only